Shalom Yashrallah, this is Brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakak Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump to this here article. It says Colonialism 2.0 and how the U.S. and the U.K. take what they want from the lesser powers. All right. And so, pretty much I wanted to get into this here article because it pretty much explains, what we read all the time in Habakkuk chapter 2. All right. But matter of fact, I'm going to start Job first real quick. And then we'll get back to that Habakkuk 2. We'll read a little bit of that there article. All right. This is Job chapter 9 and verse 24. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. All right. And Esau will possess the earth, for, for a temporary rulership. All right. And we're actually coming to the end of his rulership. Let me grab this as well in Isaiah 14 and 16, is it? No. Isaiah 14 and actually it's up further. Isaiah 14 and 9. It says, Hell from beneath is moved to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All right. So, going into these situations, you have, one of the things that they have, they call regime change. All right. Where they'll go in and they'll overthrow these governments and things like that. And they'll take what they want. All right. So let me go ahead and read this before we get into this here article in Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Because this is pretty much, like I said, we read this all the time, but this article is a pure example or multiple examples of exactly how this plays out. So Habakkuk 2 and 5 says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, all right, so which is going into his philosophies and his doctrines and things like that. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man and neither keepeth at home. So, like, for instance, I'm not sure if they even use this example in the article, but with the Taiwan situation, since this is a new, fresh example where people's eyes are kind of on this right now. All right. You have, Taiwan being a part of China. All right. And all the paperwork and all the wording and everything. It's all a part of China. All right. But America is going, and even America doesn't recognize Taiwan as its own sovereign country. But this is what they're so-called pushing for nowadays, But even in their own word, and they don't use that, they still call it China. All right. But they'll send, like Nancy Pelosi over there, or they'll talk about, hey, if, they'll put the bug into their ear. Hey, if you guys want to, succeed, if you guys want to, leave China, y'all want to start beef, whatever y'all want to do, we got y'all back. Whatever's pop, same thing with Ukraine. Whatever y'all want to do, hey, we got y'all back. You know what I'm saying? But you see how it's playing out in Ukraine, right? You got these Ukrainians over there fighting against Russia, whereas America and the West are so-called backing it as far as with weapons and funds to fight Russia, but they're not really on the ground over there. All right, so they're transgressing by that wine, that philosophy, getting them all drunk, getting them all hyped up. It's like, yeah, you go to a club or a bar, talking to this chick, yeah, girl, I got this and I got that, hyping her up. But when it comes down to it, she's starting to see the real deal about you, man. She's like, wait a minute, you said you had this, you said you had that. This ain't even your car. This your homeboy car. This ain't even this. You know what I'm saying? They starting to wake up to see a lot of these things, man. All right. So it says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man and neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied. So it says, he is a proud man and neither keepeth at home, because it's not that he's just doing these things here on his home front. He's in everybody else's home doing these things, man. It'd be one thing if you was just, doing these things, here in your own country. But no, you on the other side of the globe doing these things, man. Over there hijacking other people's nations and countries and everybody else's nation. And this is what we're going to see in this here article. It says, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied. All right. And going into, every day, there's people dying. All right. There's never a shortage of people dying. Just like there's never a shortage of people being born. There's never a shortage or end to people dying. So it's just like his so-called appetite. All right. He's always going to be hungry. He's always going to be on the prowl, always looking for somebody else to take over. All right. Even once Esau took over the whole earth, what does he wind up doing? Going to war with his own damn self, man. All right. It says, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. And, what he does when he does this is not that you know, um, everybody sing Kumbaya and they, reign side by side. No, he does this, gathers all these people unto him to reign over top of all these people to steal their resources. All right. So we're going to jump into this here article. It's quite a bit of an article, but it explains this, with multiple different examples. So colonialism 2.0 and how the US and the UK take what they want from the lesser powers. Now 1.0, you would understand it was basically the UK and the British, monarch that went and did this before America wound up doing this. But now, America is doing a double, doubling back. All right. But at the end all be all, these are all Edomites anyway. It says, in the name of sanctions, global political interests, and so-called rule-based order, colonial powers do what they do best: plunder those they see weak and insubordinate. Now and again, neither keep it at home. All right, this is what he's doing. He's always going around and plundering from all these other nations. All right, spoiling all these other nations. This is what he does. All right, and it says, in the name of sanctions, geopolitical interests, and so-called rule-based order, he transgresses by his wand. All right, he comes up with all kind of different things. Oh, you guys, again, Iraq, they got weapons of mass destruction over there. But like, well, what kind of weapons of mass destruction did you find? And who cares if they got weapons of mass destruction over there? You Americans, you got nuclear missiles. You the only people who drop nuclear bombs on anybody. So, like, how are you? That's like how they say the kettle calling the pot black. Like, how the hell are you gonna tell somebody they can't have nuclear weapons when you the only country to ever use nuclear or weapons of mass destruction, when you the only nation to ever use weapons of mass destruction on another nation? All right, so this is a prime example of him transgressing by one. It says there's an old joke which still has some uh, resonance. A child asks his parents, why are the pyramids? Because they were too big to take to Britain. All right, spoiling many nations. This is a thing that they go into. All right, and this is what Esau does. He steals everybody's heritage, man. All right, it says, of course, many true words are spoken in jest. Indeed, there is just a apocryphal story that back in the day when Vladimir Lenin was in exile in London, he would enjoy taking friends to the British Museum and explaining to them how and from what far-flung land all the antiquities uh, there were stolen. And again, like I said, this is what Esau does. He steals everybody's heritage, man. Steals all their world wonders and put them into his museums as so-called trophies. Yeah, see, look, we stole this from these folks. We conquered them. We stole this from those folks and conquered them. And they got the nerve to name a lot of their things and their items after the people they conquered things from, man. All right, just like, look here, a lot of their military equipment are named after the things of the Native Americans, the, Apache helicopter, Tomahawk missiles. All right, all kind of different things like this, man. All right, but hey, this is what Esau does, man. All right, one may have thought, one may have thought that these days of colonial plunder had ended, but one would be very wrong. Current examples abound. A notable one is, of course, the freezing by the U.S. of $7 billion from the Afghan treasury, monies the U.S. continues to hold even as it watches Afghans begin to die from starvation. Apparently, the U.S. believes that after laying waste to Afghanistan through 20 years of war, and even before that, by supporting the Mujahideen terrorists, all right, now, which you have to go into all of that. That's going into what they pretty much created. What's the group called? Is it Al Qaeda? I believe it was. That's and they was having a proxy war basically with Russia. All right, so not going too far into who one of their major players was in that, but hey, all you Americans know who this dude is. All right, but going back just like with the whole ISIS situation, man, this is what they do. You should just look into it and you'll figure it all out. But it says apparently the U.S. believes that after laying waste to Afghanistan through 20 years of war, and even before that by supporting the Mujahideen terrorists, all right, it is entitled to some compensation. It says this upside down type of reasoning abounds in the minds of those in the West who simply believe that they can take whatever they wish. All right, and again, they'll create something and say it's a problem, and then again, transgressing by one. They go over there and create problem, reaction, solution. They'll go over there and create a problem just to see the people react. Then they'll come in with the solution. So even here, where they're admitting that they supported and created the Mujahideen terrorists and everything else like that, this is later on down the line when you would see Al Qaeda and everything else like that, and the Taliban. Well, the Taliban was the government, but the Al Qaeda group, they're saying, oh, we got to go over here and fight these terrorists, but y'all the ones who created them. Just like how in Syria and Iraq, y'all created the damn ISIS fighters by sending guns over there through Tripoli and Benghazi with Hillary Clinton in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, wait a minute, y'all created this. Now you got to go over there and fix the problem. And then in the midst of all that, you destroy everything, and then you go over there and you send your contractors to build up everything. You steal all the resources. All right, this is what they do. KBR and Halliburton and that type of gang. All right, Dick Cheney and them. All right. Simply, the U.S. is now plundering Syria, another country utterly devastated in no small part by Washington-backed militants, like I was just saying. All right, in a campaign to overthrow the elected president of most of its oil, even as Syria suffers from severe energy blackouts. All right, thus, according to the Syrian oil ministry, U.S. occupied forces and their mercenaries. All right, let me keep reading. It says referring to the U.S.-backed Syrian democratic forces. All right. So again, this is, you understand what's going on here, man. You had a group of people that go. This was what happened before ISIS showed up over there. Again, they didn't created their own little terrorist group, or well, they didn't call them a terrorist group. They called them basically before, I believe it was the Free Syrian Army. All right, the so-called quote unquote civilians that was upset and they wanted to overthrow their government because their government was a cruel man. But in reality, this was people, mercenaries that America hired and put over there to go on a wage war against Bashar al-Assad. Then when things wasn't quite going their way, then all of a sudden now you have a terrorist group that's over there. Now, oh, we're not fighting against the government because people starting to catch on. We just fighting the terrorists on your occupied land. Even though you didn't invite us over here to do so, we just fighting terrorists, which in the the same token, they just so happen to be hiding amongst all your oil infrastructure and all your, liable infrastructure to have you keep making money. So we'll just destroy all of that, not really kill any of them. And now your country is suffering. Now the people are going to look at you like you the bad guy and want to overthrow you, and we'll just set up our puppet. But see, that never happened because Russia stood, how do I say? They stepped in and stopped all these things from happening. But this is their game plan. This is them transgressing by their wand. This is not no secret, no fairy tale or nothing like that. Hey, it's right. It's in history. You can go and you look up the history. Like I said, with this scenario, you can even go and look at, American history. It's not whitewashed because Hillary Clinton and them got caught with this. She had to go to court to testify against these things and everything else like that. So, and you can go look all this up, man. This is like out in the open. All right. So it says, let me read that again. It says, thus, according to the Syrian oil ministry, the U.S. occupation forces and their mercenaries, referred to as the U.S.-backed democratic forces, steal up to 66,000 barrels every single day from the fields occupied in the eastern region, amounting to 83% of the Syrian daily oil production. So, gathereth unto them all nations, all right, and his death cannot be satisfied, all right. They're going over to these other nations still. All this. America got their own oil supply, right? Now, America had the Saudis under their belt anyway. So you was controlling a lot of this damn oil, but they weren't satisfied with that. They wanted to take all the oil and have all the possession. Now, they'll speak about Venezuela as well, but hey, this is what they do. All right. And the majority of you Americans think America's just so free and nice and it's the best place in the world. And it's just full of saints and angels and things like this. And the whole world hates you because they're just jealous because you have freedoms. They hate you because, they're terrorists. They just, or they're Muslims and they hate Christians. It's always been like this. No, man, it ain't got nothing to do with none of those things like that. Most of these people could care less with your little religion. Just like here in America, most of you don't care if people are quote unquote religious believers or if you're not religious believers, man. They just mad because you just, let's just say, backed into their car. Somebody back into somebody else's car and they get out and start screaming on you. It's not because of your religious beliefs. It's not because of, oh, you have freedoms and they got freedoms of this. No, man, it's your actions. People are upset with you Americans because of your actions, man. All right. It says, according to the ministry's data, the Syrian oil sector has incurred losses of about 105 billion since the beginning of the war until the middle of this year. All right. Now, imagine if somebody came over here and disrupted America to where they was losing $105 billion over a couple of years, man, what they would do. All right. As a result of the U.S. oil theft campaign. All right. It says, additionally, the statement added that alongside the financial losses incurred by the oil sector were losses of life, including 235 martyrs, 46 injured, and 112 kidnapped. All right, and we know what happened with these kidnapped ones. They have these they had this dude who had his own island and his own plane that was connected with all these different people, and how they get down in their parties, right? It says one of the biggest heists in the U.S. Has carried out against Russia. All right, this is what's currently going on. After the launch of the Russian military operation in Ukraine, the U.S. and has seized an incredible uh, 300 billion of Russian treasury funds. Now that's more than what they was taking out of Syria. All right, over a longer period of time. It says after the launch of the Russian military operation in Ukraine, the U.S. seized an incredible 305 billion of Russian treasury funds, which were deposited abroad. This was done, of course, without any due process and in great and to the great detriment of the Russian people, and with barely a critical word from the Western pundits. So ain't nobody, all these other Edomites didn't say anything, man. They didn't have no real reason to do all these things, but they just, again, they transgressing by their wand. Oh, because you decided to invade Ukraine, we're gonna have to sanction you because this is a war crime. But nobody's talking about how they wasn't even invading Ukraine; they was defending themselves, and how you went over there and so-called propagated yourself up and use a proxy to go over there and try to invade them. So you can go over there and throw the first stone and then cry, you know what I'm saying, when the stone ricochet and hit you in the head, man. All right, this is just like a person that's literally taking a rock, you know what I'm saying, or you know how they had that movie, Christmas Story. They told a little boy he couldn't get the little rifle because he was going to shoot his own eye out, right? And you take a BB gun and you go and you shoot up against a wall. Now the bullet ricochet and hit you in the eye. Now you want to go and complain that little Johnny didn't shot you in the eye. No, Johnny didn't shoot you in the eye. Johnny ain't even got no gun. Johnny is over in his house down the block, you know what I'm saying, in 2 states over. And how you complaining about him, bro? You the one had got this gun. You asked for this gun. You got the gun. And you was playing with the damn BB gun. You shot your own eye out. And now you complaining that somebody else did this to you. Nah, but this is what America does, man. All right. It says the U.S. treatment of Venezuela abounds with other examples. It says, as I write these words, the U.S. is maneuvering to seize a commercial 747 airliner from Venezuela on grounds that it once belonged to an Iranian airline, which had some connection to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which America has designated as terrorists. So again, that transgressing by one. All they got to do is designate you as a supporter of terrorists or a terrorist group. All right, like they're trying to do Russia right now, and then they have all means. Well, because they're terrorists, we got to go over there and take you out. You know, it's an old mob tactic, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like we'll go over there and cause chaos in your neighborhood. All right, and then now we got to go over here and police this. Now we got to go and secure these things. Or you go into somebody, you the exterminator or something like that, man, the bug guy. But you come into somebody's hotel and you release a box of roaches and things like that. Then you complain about seeing roaches and we gotta come in and exterminate. We gotta shut this place down, or the health people, for certain restaurants. You go into a clean restaurant and you release a bunch of roaches and how dare you? Now we got to close you guys down just because you just wanted them out of business. This is what America does, man. This is why people look at you all crazy and say that they hate Americans. It's not because of your beliefs. All right. It's not because you have freedom. It's not because they jealous. They see this into the story, but you Americans, most of y'all don't know what the hell is going on anyway, man. You don't even watch the news. And again, you have that you're under the Babylonian juice. They just hate you because you're Americans. You have freedoms. Like these other nations don't have freedoms. All right. But this is how these people are over here living. They're living in poverty because of what your country does to them, man. All right, look at the condition of Cuba and why they're in the condition that they're in and they're stuck in the damn 50s. All right, it's not because they ain't got the smarts to will. Well, if those people were smart enough, all right, this is the tendencies of these goddamn Edomites over here. Well, if these people were smart enough to do anything, they would be living better than that. No, man, it's what the fuck y'all got going on with y'all sanctions and things like that, man. All right, a lot of these countries can't thrive in a second and third world countries because of what America does to these different nations, man. They have the resources, they have the goods, they have the smarts to do these things, but hey, America is the one telling them that they can't do these things. They have these sanctions on them, and how do they hold the sanctions towards them? By way of threats of dropping bombs on these people, man. All right. It says let me go back up. It's like, give me 1 second. I had to sneeze. But nevertheless, it says the U.S. treatment of Venezuela abounds with other examples. As I write these words, the U.S. is maneuvering to seize a commercial 747 airliner from Venezuela on the grounds that it once belonged to an Iranian airline, which had some connection to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which Washington has designated as terrorists, which may sound like a tenuous justification, but the U.S. really needs no reason, right? Because they could just label anybody a goddamn sponsor terrorist, or just say, hey, just because. All right. This is simply the tip of the iceberg. The U.S. has already seized Venezuela's biggest single source of revenue. All right, the thing that feed now, you got to understand the government in Venezuela is top down, where the government feeds pretty much everybody, right? So it says the U.S. has already seized Venezuela's biggest single source of revenue. Its U.S.-based oil company, Citgo, all right, is now in possession in the process of selling this. Let me stop there real quick. So this is how this here works, right? Venezuela, they sell oil to basically feed their country, right? Because they one of those type of countries where, it's like from top down, the government basically take care of everybody, right? Like what you call almost like socialism, right? So not saying it's a good or a bad, it's not really a good situation because they get to choose what you have, and how much and the quality of your life. But nevertheless, they get their money from selling oil. They believe they're the world's largest deposit of oil, or the world's largest reserve of oil, one of the two. But nevertheless, they sell oil. However, the headquarters of the state-run oil company is in Texas, and it's under the name, you've probably seen the gas station Citgo, right? The gas station Citgo and stuff like that, but it's headquartered in, I believe, in Texas. All right, now what they do is they have sanctions on it. So what will happen is Venezuela, they can sell that. First of all, there's sanctions on Venezuelan oil that you can't really buy or sell that oil. But however, and ironically, same with Russian oil. But ironically, throughout the oil crisis and everything, America told even their own allies they was going to sanction them if they bought this oil. But guess who was buying Russian and Venezuelan oil? Oh, it was America. But not even to mention that. But going back to the Venezuelan oil, when they do sell their oil, all right, the money has to go through their headquarters, which is Citgo, which is in Texas, which is in America, which America freezes their assets. So it's like, well, we just sold $100 billion worth of some oil, but we can't get it back to our country because y'all done froze our assets over there in Texas and our headquarters of our company and everything else like that. And we can't even move our stuff over here because, you got the sanctions on us. All right. So it says the U.S. Based oil company Citgo is now in the process of selling this company in pieces, even as Washington lifts restrictions on Venezuelan oil to shore up its own economy. So again, why do you think that they're selling this company into pieces? Do you think it's because they want to get rid of their own lifeline, which is supplying them? No, because America is behind all of these things, man. All right. It says the UK, meanwhile, has decided to keep over $1 billion in gold, which Venezuela naively deposited in the Bank of England for safekeeping. See the irony of that? Hey, keep our gold over there for safekeeping just in case we get invaded. But guess what? Now they can't even go and get their own gold back. They say, no, this ain't your gold. You can't have it. All right. To add insult to injury, the U.S. continues to criticize Venezuela for the hardship its people endure as a direct consequence of this plunder. So again, like I said, the people, all right, they pretty much get these paychecks from the government. Everything is taken care of by the government. But the government ain't bringing in no money because they selling the oil, but they can't get the paycheck back. It's just like, you go to work, right? You work 40, 60, 80, 100 hours, right? Now your job, and you got a family to feed. Now you got a wife and some kids. You go to work, you work hard as hell, you sweating your ass off and everything else like that. And when it's come time to get your paycheck, your boss is like, "No, I'm not gonna give you your paycheck," or we'll give you the paycheck, but you got to go to the bank to cash it. Now the bank then took your paycheck and don't want to cash your check. Now your wife is looking at you like you crazy, like, why you ain't trying to feed us? You're a bad husband. You're a bad man. You're not trying to feed your family and your kids. Nah, it ain't that I'm not trying to feed my family and my kids. The job ain't writing my check. I done went to work. I put in the work. They don't want to write my check, or I went to cash my check. The bank won't release my check into my funds. Man, it's their fault. It ain't my fault. You know what I'm saying? But this is what you have going on. And meanwhile, they blame, oh, Nicolas Maduro is a cruel dictator. He's starving his people out there. We got to overthrow him. The world needs to get rid of people like him. Nah, it's people like you that's causing all these things, man. All right. It says, meanwhile, the U.S. countries continue to persecute Colombia's businessman Alex Saab for trying to obtain food and medicine for the Venezuelan people, denying such amenities by the U.S. sanctions. Saab was captured at the behest of the U.S. in Cabo Verde in 2020 as he was flying to Iran to negotiate a deal for humanitarian supplies, including medicine, to confront the pandemic. On a mission he was employed to perform by Caracas, which is Venezuela. Saab has been since removed to a federal prison in Miami, Florida, despite the lack of extradition treaty between the U.S. and Cabo Verde. So they didn't kidnap this dude, right? And continues to languish in prison as the wheels of U.S. justice turn at a snail's pace to resolve his case. So this man went over there to bring humanitarian aid and supplies to a country that had sanctions on them, right? And then he was in another country that didn't have extradition laws, where America had no right to go over there and arrest him. And so they went over there and arrested him on crimes that wasn't even a crime. All right. So what do you call it? That's just basically kidnap, man. All right. But yet and still, like I said, people would think that, oh, they hate America because of their freedoms and things like this. But it's like, no, we can't get our humanitarian medicine. All right. All the little things they need, food and things like that, because y'all over here kidnapping folks is trying to bring us stuff like this. Y'all got sanctions on us so people can't trade with us. All right. You know what I'm saying? And when people try to come and bring us supplies and stuff like that, you go over here and kidnap these types of people. So now we over here starving out. Then you make our leader look bad, like as if he the problem, when you over here stealing all of our resources, man. All right. And then you'll try to go over there and put your so-called backed leader up over there and then make it seem like, there was a a coup d'etat, or the people had a revolutionary thing, like basically what's going on in Ukraine. All right, these Ukrainian people didn't vote for this man to be over there like that, man. This country was hijacked. Same with Taiwan, man. But see, people don't see these things. But hey, it's out in the open, man. We're reading about these things, and it's out in the open. All right, it says in short, not only has the U.S. freely stolen from Venezuela, but is also going to great lengths to stop those who try to acquire the basic necessities for the Venezuelan people. All of this illustrates that colonial habits die hard, and the U.S. is always ready to turn to the trod and trusted traditions of plunder, whether to dig itself out of one of the worst economic crises in years, or to coerce other nations to serve its own geopolitical interests. In fact, the U.S. is allowed to get away with this demonstrates that Washington imposed rule-based rule of law is nothing but a tool employed by the mighty to keep the weak down. All right. And let's go back to that, because like we just read into this here article, man, this explains this to the T. This is how we know who Esau Edom is, man, according to prophecies, man. The scriptures don't have to go out there and explicitly say, okay, Esau Edom is the so-called white man that's living in America by under these names of these different presidents. No, man, they give you the example of what they would be doing. So no matter who's in office, what name they go under and whatever else, like, bro, you fit the description. All right, Habakkuk 2:5. Yea, also because he transgresses by one. All right, for geopolitical reasons, humanitarian aid, sanctions, and all these different things. We got to go over here for all these things. Nah, man, you just make up whatever fits your little bill, fits your little notion, your witchcraft, man. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by one. He is a proud man. All right, we have the right to go over here and tell you what you can and can't do with your own monies, man. All right, we got the right to go over here and arrest people, even though there is no crime that this person committed, even though we don't even have jurisdiction over here. What you going to say about it? What you going to do about it? You going to try to stop us? Oh, yeah, you selling your oil and everything else like that, but we're not going to give you your money back. Oh, yeah, we got your gold. It's your gold, but we're not going to give it. What you going to do about it? Who you going to complain to? If you complain about it, we're going to just make you look bad about, oh, yeah, see, this cruel dictator starving his people out. We got to get rid of him. And then go in the UN and sit there and talk down on these people, man. All right. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by one, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire is hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathers unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So, hey, going back into, let me read this in the NLT. It says, the bottom half, it says, in their greed have they gathered up many nations and swallowed many people. All right, many people. So like I said, man, it's not that he gathering these nations to sit side by side with them, man. He's gathering up all these nations to reign over top of them and plunder all their resources, man. All these different nations we was reading about was for what? For the plunder of the resources. All right, verse 6. Shall they not take up a parable against thee and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, so hey, let me read that in NLT. But soon your captives will taunt them, and they will mock them, saying, what sorrow awaits you thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. You've become rich by extortion, but how much longer can this go on? So, and this is what the point in time that we're coming to right about now, where these nations are starting to look at America and say, hey, is this the man that made the, let's read that real quick in Isaiah chapter 14. All right, because this is the point where these nations are getting to. They're pretty much fed up with America right now, man, and banding together. All right, Isaiah 14:16. They that see thee shall nearly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness, that destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? So all these nations are looking at America like, yo, bro, you're the problem on the earth, man. You're the reason that all these nations are in shambles. You're the reason that all these nations are turning third and second and third world countries, because it's not that they don't have the resources, they lack the capability of thriving. It's that you're the ones holding them back, man. Where would Cuba be if there wasn't the embargo on Cuba right now, man? Where would Venezuela be if they would had access to their their natural resources they're selling to the earth, and they could sell it all around the earth right about now, man? All right, where would a lot of these Latin American countries be? You know what I'm saying? If they could be able to sell their goods the way they want to sell their goods, where would a lot of these African countries be if they was able to sell their goods? You know, because in Africa you got like gold, you got lithium. A lot of matter of fact, lithium is a big commodity right about now, especially going in all these electric cars. But see, America in the West, they want to how do I say they want to be the sole beneficiaries of those things, man. So they keep these people down and keep these people poor, and then you simple ass Americans look at these folks as, oh, they're just poor and dirty countries because they're just not smart enough. See, we had to come over here and civilize these niggas. We had to civilize these niggas and show them how to live, because these niggas are just dirty, filthy niggas, man. They don't know no better. But really, in reality, man, is you goddamn dirty ass Edomites, man. All you do is you steal everything from everybody else, man. Jake then already had all this stuff, man. But yet and still, you steal it from everybody and you make up these lies about them, man. All right, but hey, the world is waking up to your BS, man. All right, and this is why you being taken out. This is why your country is falling, man. This is why you being taken off the face of the earth right now, because let's just read it, man. Habakkuk 2:6 again. It says, actually, I want to read all of this in both, but I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read 6 through 8, the KJV, and then come back in the NLT. It says, shall they not take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and all that dwell therein. All right, let's read that one more time in the NLT. Verse 6, but soon their captives will taunt them. They will mock them, saying, with sorrow await you thieves. Now you will get what you deserve. You become rich by extortion. But how much longer can this go on? Suddenly your debtors will take action. They will turn on you and take all that you have while you stand trembling helpless. All right, because even your own allies, as we see right now, are starting to turn the tides and turn their attention away from you, because you're starving them out. You treating them like niggas now. You over here got them turning into third world countries over your own plunder and your own greed. It says, because you have plundered many nations and have and because you have plundered many nations, now all the survivors will plunder you. You've committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. All right, so hey, this is exactly what is going on with these different nations right about now, man. Not only your friends, but your enemies as well. They're all plotting together to take you out of the way, because look, man, this is what you've done, man. Now the devil is being exposed on the face of the earth, man. All right, so hey, it's no more hiding. It's no more a mystery about who you really are. Like I said, it's not that these people hate you because you're Americans. They're jealous. You have freedoms. All right, you're a moral, good Christian country. They don't hate you for those reasons, man. All right, we're gonna close out with that. This is the reason why, man. All right, we just read it, but this is also the reason why. They just starting to wake up to this. Isaiah 14:16. It says, they that see thee shall nearly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness, that destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? It's because of your actions of what you're doing, not only to Jake here in captivity, but to the rest of the nations around the world, man. All right, they're sick and tired of your BS, man. All right, but I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone, and taught us this truth and never will. Salutation, much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth, and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Till next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.